Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I'm at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2025. The vendors room is incredible. There's more vendors here than there's ever been before. The selection is off the charts, but guys, the prices are insane. Retro game prices, especially for the harder to find stuff, is just gotten out of control. Let's check it out. Guys, be sure and stay around for my pickups at the end of the video. I got something from Drunken Master Paul that he gave me, a really cool personal item, and a vintage Mario item that I never thought I would have. I got a great deal on it, so be sure and hang around to the end. And we're starting off at Video Game Wizards. Guys, I remember when you could get Donkey Kong 3 for $8 at FuncoLand. Now it's $450 CIB, and yes, FuncoLand did sell CIB games for the same price as card only. $200 for Kung Fu, what was considered a common game back in the day. Dracula's Curse was $20 just a few short years ago. Now it's $170. Prices have gone completely insane, but you know what? That's the nature of it. Now, Snow Brothers is known for being a very rare game, $600. So yeah, it's you know, this ain't 1997 no more.
That's fine.
Super Metroid for $346. I sold mine when it was about 200 years ago. Guys, check out Batman and Robin, The Adventures Of for $642 CIB. Let me know if you've ever played Rat Attack. I'd be really curious. $800 for that game. Again, these are CIB and not sealed. I suppose that Zelda is sealed at $1,000. Now, Atari Carts and Alien vs. Predator, those are recognized as being very hard to find. So $525 and $170, that kind of makes sense. And it seems like Punisher on the Genesis gets more expensive every time I see it. $350. Wow, 32X, $239 for wrestling, WrestleMania. Troubleshooter, that one's getting more and more expensive at $300. So yeah, guys, it's a rich man's collecting hobby if you're looking for specific titles.
I think maybe if you don't have.
I remember getting a complete in-box 5200 for $5 at a garage sale in the early 2000s. $400. So here we are at another booth, and I've noticed Game Gear games are starting to get really expensive. And even, you know, just a few short years ago, most Game Gear games were dirt cheap. But now if you've got the box, we're really talking some pretty expensive games here. And Contra Hardcore, that was $8 to $10 for many, many years. Now it's $120. And some random Game Boy games have gotten pricey, $30 for Super Scrabble. Shinobi for Game Gear, $200. Truxton, I've told you many times, I got mine for $2.99 back at FuncoLand back in the day, $130. Oh, check it out. This is cool. The PAL version of Outrun for the Game Gear for $65. You couldn't give away Fairchild Channel F games a few years ago. Now Pro Football's $135, $40 for Video Kart 16. Dodge It. And here's bowling for $40. I love the Fairchild Channel F. Grew up very nostalgic for that system. Played it in '76 when my two best friends each had one. A lot of you have heard that story before. Here's Kirby 64 for 900 smackers. That's new, and that's a sealed copy. Let's check out Tappers. Really cool branding there. Retro games and toys. Check out this foreign version of Pickaxe Pete. That's really cool. Never saw that before. Dragon Warrior, $100, a game that they literally gave away when it came out. This is not meant to be a get off my lawn, I'm an old man video. It's just commentating on just how incredibly expensive a lot of this stuff is nowadays. It's truly fascinating for somebody like me who saw this stuff for so cheap for so very long. $225 for, what was the name of that movie that this game is based on? Having a brain fart, let me know in the comments. Desert Demolition, $120. That one might be sealed. Flintstones for Genesis, that's a fun game, $100. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I think that's gone beyond cult classic just to be a mainstream favorite. Boxed Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games have gotten crazy expensive, especially for some random titles. Now these aren't so random. These are some heavy hitters like Doom for $155. Some Metroid titles here. River City Ransom, don't see a price on that one. Golden Sun for $135. Fire Emblem for $260. Really cool to see the Wolfenstein 3D on the handheld format. You guys know that sealed collecting is very, very hot. You got a $600 copy of Def Jam Fight for New York. $60 for a CIB pair of wireless NES controllers. Pretty cool. Definitely uncommon in the box. And here at Retro Respawn, we've got a nice collection of Sega CD games, including Terminator, great game with excellent soundtrack, $185. And Robo Aleste, a really great shooter, $165. And a pretty solid version of Mortal Kombat, $60. Mickey Mania, love this game, $110. Movie Trading Company literally sold almost all their Sega Saturn and Sega CD games for $3.99 each back when I was buying them like crazy in the early to mid 2000s. And occasionally they would price one up to $20 or so, but most of them were $3.99. I got a lot of games for those consoles for that price years ago. $90 for Rayman, great platformer, also on the PS1.
$10.
And we've got $80 for Captain America and the Avengers. You guys know that a lot of you might know that the Genesis version is much better. Hey, it's a sealed Lynx game, $30, seems reasonable. And over here at Blue Shell Collectibles, we've got some pretty hard to find games, including this really nifty 2-pack of Three Ninjas Kickback and Hook, $150 complete in the box there. Street Fighter Alpha 2 is $80. This one's pretty hard to find. Gen War. It appears to be sealed. I don't see a price on it. Oh, $50. That's a good price. Got the vertical or the horizontal seam there. It's always fun to see Jaguar games at an expo. $100 for Doom. Zool 2. Reasonable price. Pitfall the Mine Adventure, kind of an underrated Pitfall game. Oh wow, I didn't expect to see a copy of Halloween here. $500 complete in box. Gorgeous looking box with just a little edgeware. That looks great. Paper Mario for $300. So yeah, guys, if you're collecting CIB of this stuff, good luck. Iron Man, $200. So many Game Boy games have gone up crazy. The obscure ones, the boxes are just so hard to find. Bill and Ted, $140. Who remembers Color a Dinosaur? Unfortunately, you don't actually color a dinosaur. You just sort of fill in the spaces mindlessly. $150. I can't even imagine a kid would enjoy that game. But hey, it's a great collectible. Galactic Crusader, super old school shooter, even for the NES. It's more like a second gen game. $72 for the cart.
Yeah, anything.
And here at Toys vs. Games, another $5,200 complete in the box. This one $350, a little cheaper than the last one. A Lynx, that looks like the, is that the version 2, I believe, or the first? Can't remember if it's the first or second one. Lynx 1 or Lynx 2. Let me know in the comments. $425 for that bad boy. I think that's the first one, yeah. There's the 3DO, $900 boxed. I got mine for $12 back in the day at a thrift store when they had them with the VCRs back in the early 2000s. Didn't have the box, but I like my $12 purchase. Now, when Double Dragon was first released in stores, it was $50. So if you adjust for inflation, $80 is a bargain. Although that box looks a little worn there. So among these Game Boy Advance games, hey, Monster Truck Mayhem, $15. Seems like a bargain. It's a nice looking N64 there for $220, Japanese. How much is the boxed Arkanoid?
I'll ask you $190, my friend.
And has the controller?
Yeah, controller.
$190 with the controller and manual?
Yes.
Very cool, CIB, that's a great game. Too bad the controller only works with that game. They didn't make any other games that would use that controller. Oh wow, that's a gorgeous copy of Contra. It's not sealed, but it has most of the seal intact. They opened it from the top, $280. Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii, $250, interesting. Fire Emblem, $290. That one's been going up for some time. Here's the alternate cover for Zombies Ate My Neighbors for $3,500. Very rarely seen cover of that game. Captain Commando, 950 smackers, $350 for Zelda. I am really glad I got my copy of Wampum years ago when it was around 20 because it's such a great game. 95 for RoboCop 3. That one's gone up a lot in recent years. $4.95 for Bubble Bobble Part 2. Definitely a hard to find one. At Swan's Emporium, they've got a really highly desirable copy of Metal Storm. You rarely see the box for that game. $700. Definitely a tough one. Cool World has gone up a lot in recent years. I had a chance to get a sealed one for $100 about maybe 8 or 10 years ago, but I passed. I wish I would have gotten it. CIB 320. Got one of the Aladdin games there, Deck Enhancer games, I believe. Yeah, for $200. And then Dragon View for $300. Very hard to find game. I barely even remember seeing that at GameStop/Funcoland back in the day. Pretty obscure even then. Space Adventure for $650 on the Sega CD. Knuckles Chaotix, man, that's a game that so many people want to get because of the Sonic property just being so hot. $300 for a boxed copy of that. Cycross, $20. That seems like a bargain. And got a boxed Zelda edition of the Super Nintendo for $400. Nobunaga's Ambition 2 for $200. Wii Sports, $25. That one went up a lot during COVID. It was around $5 before COVID. Here we've got some really hard to find 3DO games, including Lucien's Quest for $1,600. Yeah, sorry about the glare, but we're looking at a lot of case games today because we're going for the expensive stuff. Rayman for $400 on the Jaguar. I see the seal on that one. And again, Game Boy Advance stuff, very pricey. Arcade Advance, though, you can have a good time with that for just $20. It's a great game. Now, Tron Killer App, that does have the original Tron game included, and it's fun to play on the Game Boy Player on the GameCube because you can play it on the television. Hey, what do we got here? We've got some more adult type games for the 3DO. Really cool. How much are these?
They're spicy.
They're spicy. How much do they cost?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, I don't know. If I look them up, am I going to get in trouble?
Right. Maybe so.
Right.
They're priceless. Let's just put it that
They're
way.
priceless.
Yes.
I mean, who wants to have, what is it, Blonde Justice, The Coven, and...
Hey, I could always go for some Blonde Justice.
Right. I don't know the title of that one. And there's one more.
Okay. ActRaiser 2, that's known to be a pretty tough one to find. Super Bowling is even $50 right now. That was $10-20 not terribly long ago. Dig Dug 2, $35. That's a bargain. That's a great game. Wampum, $200. Saw that one earlier. Tyson's Punch-Out, obviously going to be expensive. Platoon for $40. Here's another 3DO title that is for adults only. And I've heard it was steamy.
Those ones out because
Yeah, right.
children's are afoot.
Children's are afoot, and you wouldn't want the convention police
Right.
coming after you.
The moral police.
Right. California Raisins, that's a tough one. $175. That seems actually reasonable. That's a tough one to find. Some more 3DO stuff. Pretty cool. ESPN Beach Volleyball, $200. Yeah, sports games can be very expensive at times. As always, Pink Gorilla is set up here, co-owned by Kelsey Lewin. And they brought some of the big guns here today, including Kid Icarus for $120. You got Super R-Type. And let's see what else we've got. Cryon Quest, that's a tough one at $220. Beauty and the Beast, pretty bad game, $170 because it's a tough box to find for sure. What else we got here? We got some sealed PS3 games here, PS4. A Spyro sealed greatest hits version for $50. That seems reasonable. Spider-Man, fantastic game, one of the first truly great superhero games that actually made you feel like the awesome wall crawler. Web Slinger, wall crawler. He's got a lot of nicknames. And we're here with Sean Kelly and John Hardy. They brought some truly big guns, some stuff that they've had in storage for a while, including a copy of River Raid 2 for $120. That's in really excellent condition. I far prefer the first River Raid to play, but as far as collectability goes, River Raid 2, super hard to find. Really cool to see some Commodore VIC-20 stuff out here. 20 bucks, very reasonable for a sealed cartridge there. Casino has been recognized as a really hard to find, some of the early Atari stuff. 80 bucks complete in the box. And you've got Kaboom for the Atari home computers. Not as good as the 2600 version because you don't have the rotary controls, but a nice collectible at 50 bucks. And let's see here, Star Raiders sealed for $20, very reasonable. You can definitely buy some sealed stuff from the second gen for cheap if if you keep an eye out. Now, Pinball for the Intellivision, that's a great game, kind of a hidden gem for that console. 20 bucks or 50 bucks for sealed. I would love to buy that and open that on my channel. That would be a lot of fun, but I don't know about paying 50 bucks. Now, here's the original River Raid sealed for $50. Very popular game, one of the most beloved games for the console, one of the greatest, probably the first vertical scrolling shooter for a home console. It definitely was. Some VIC-20 action here. $12 sealed Lock and Chase, very popular in television game. 12 bucks is very reasonable for that. I love to see these big box TI-99 games. $50 for the large box. That looks great on display. That's so cool. And check it out, back in the day, 4 for $10. That's what I remember paying for stuff like this. Now you've got Pitfall for the 5200 for $40. Doesn't control as well as the 2600 version, but still really cool. And then Golf, let's see what that's going for these days. 25 CIB. And Solaris on the 2600. One of the later releases, $20 sealed. Locomotion. Pretty uncommon game on the Intellivision. And check it out, $6.95, likely during the crash. Yeah, pretty good stuff here. This is incredibly cool. You Coleco fans will remember this, a lot of you that are hardcore. A sealed copy of the Berenstain Bears KidVid talking video set, $500. Very hard to find sealed. Phantom 2040, pretty good game, kind of a hidden gem for that console, 120 sealed. Sean Kelly definitely brought out the big guns here. Good stuff, good stuff. Hardcore, Contra Hardcore. Great game in the series. 200 for Super Mario Brothers 3. Excellent condition. They've even got a really nice copy of Earthbound. Now, guys, believe it or not, at KB Toys, after this game had run its course, they had stacks of them for $10, $20 each. They blew this game out. You could get it very cheaply after the first run, when it had been in stores for a while, maybe a year or two. Chrono Trigger, $850, no big surprise. Definitely a desirable title. Secret of Evermore for $150. And we're at the next booth over. I did not realize AD&D Hillsfar had gone up so much in price. $300 complete in box. The Emperor, $160. Akari 3, 90 bucks. At Gamers in Control, they've got some true heavy hitters, including Little Samson, very famous for being rare, $5,000 in the box. Bubble Bobble 2, another known rarity. And yeah, Castlevania's really gone up a lot in recent years for $180. I remember it was $50, $60 for a very long time. Dragon Warrior 3, $350. Definitely a hard game to find in that series for sure. Some more Game Boy, very pricey and desirable items here. Oh, that's cool. A copy of Metroid for $120. The old NES releases for the Game Boy Advance. I remember when those came out, they were $20 each, and you just got one game per cartridge. I was thinking, they probably could have given you 2 or 3, but that's how they did it. Here's a Sega CD title you definitely don't see very often, and you fighting game and Fatal Fury fans, it's going to set you back $250. And Mr. Carlos Angeles, is that how you say your name?
That's my brother.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
your brother, okay.
Yeah.
So at this booth, we've got a box turbo stick. Very hard to find this box, $180. Check out this video game preserver. That's really neat for 25 bucks. That'd be actually a nice little display item with the Nintendo logo there. So that's pretty cool. And if you want a box Dreamcast controller, it'll cost you 50 bucks. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World, PAL version 50. These Mario educational titles were obviously printed at much lower numbers than the standard games, so they do command a premium. Golden Axe Warrior for $360. You Golden Axe fans wanting to complete your collection, that's going to be a tough one. Blades of Steel, the Konami Classic Series one. I believe that box is harder to find than the standard. That one's $50. Tengen Tetris, the unauthorized version with the 2-player split screen, $150. Master System 2, PAL in the box, $120. Box is a little roughed up, but still extremely cool. Double Jump video games are a fixture at various gaming conventions around the country. They brought some heavy hitters for sure. We've got Bomberman 64, the second attack, for almost $900. That is a tough box to find, guys. And the rest of these games, most of them are sealed. You got Powerpuff Girls for $130. That's actually kind of tempting, because I used to watch that with my kids, so that's a fun show. And just see that'd be a great display piece there. Load Runner for $90. I love the games that date all the way back to the computer era that come out for these later consoles. Really cool. And some games that you don't really think about being expensive, like the Pirates of Darkwater, it's just so freaking hard to find the box. $510. It's not one you hear about a lot that people are just, you know, scrambling to get, like Earthbound or something, but it's just freaking rare.
Like 15 minutes left or something? No, it doesn't close.
NFL Blitz,
5.
2000 for $43. Definitely a lot more than it was just a few years ago. They've got a very tasty lineup of Jaguar games, including Tempest 2000, the most popular and beloved game for that system, $120. Robotech Special Edition, or excuse me, Rotector, whatever that is. Let me know in the comments. $80. I'm not super fluent with the Jaguar. Hadn't written a book about it yet. Oh, Star Strike, $180, sealed, or in the box at least. All right, at the Experience Share, interesting name for a booth, we've got a really cool copy of Back to the Future 2 for the Super Famicom. That's one I've actually never seen before, $225. That is extremely cool. What a great display item that would be. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for $220, very cool. The Thriller version, $200 for Shining Force 2. Final Fantasy 3, obviously this is gonna be a pricey one. Game Boy Color, $800, Survival Kids. I'm telling you guys, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance have gone absolutely bonkers. All right, guys, this is truly insane. Check out these Game Gear prices. These boxes are so hard to find. Indiana Jones and Last Crusade for $500. Battletoads, $450, 2 copies. Road Rash seems like a bargain at $80 with those crazy prices. But hey, guys, this stuff is very hard to find. Pinball Dreams for $100, Sonic Drift for $250, Bubble Bobble, $400. Pretty cool to see these games, because I certainly can't add them to my collection. Super Space Invaders, I love that game, although it's a little too easy, but for $150, that's really wild. I remember paying $20 for mine. Fantasy Zone for $300. That's a great side-scrolling shooter, sort of a cute-em-up version of Defender. $300 for F-15 Strike Eagle. 2 copies of Vampire Master of Darkness. A $300 one and a $230 one. Take your pick. Shinobi 2, $140, and Clax for $200. At Beloved Gaming and Electronics, they've actually got a Game Boy Color, I believe it is, sewing machine, the digital sewing machine, $750, extremely cool. Definitely a rare item. I know my buddy Leonard Herman has one. There's a nice little long box game, Kingsfield for $130 for the PS1. Both Pucky and Rocky games are hard to find, but the second one, as is the case with a lot of games, is much harder. $950 in the box there. Banjo-Kazooie on the Game Boy Advance, $215. Pretty obscure for such a popular IP. We've got an Xbox Dev Kit, that's easy for me to say, for $1,550. And guys, who remembers the U-Force controller for the NES? Terrible controller, but really cool collectible. at $125. Nice display item there. All right, guys, as promised, pickups. I got this vintage Applause Mario from '89 for just $20, a great deal. He doesn't have his cat, but I can perhaps get a friend of mine to make me one that does action figures. And check it out, from Drunken Master Paul. He came by and gave me this cool hip flask. Extremely cool, and thank you, Paul Quinn, for letting me ship books to you so you can drive them here at the show. Huge favor, thank you so much. I got this cool, what kind of bottle is this? What do you call these?
Water bottle.
It's just a water bottle. There's not a fancy name for it? Anyway, I got this cool water bottle from the convention for doing a panel. And yeah, it came in very handy because I talked a lot. Classic Game Fest is coming up. They were out here with reminders of that. Coming up in July, so it'll be a while. And my wife has been a big help all weekend. Got this cool Schoolhouse Rock notebook, and it's like the VHS.
Yes, and I have the VHS with Cloris Leachman on the back, so it's kind of cool. It's repurposed VHS box.
Now you have the matching notebook.
Yay.
Very cool. And there's the convention program. And the guy, another author, just came by and gave me this copy of the films of Eddie Murphy. And I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan, so that'll be fun to go through. Got these packs of cards for $1 a piece. Those will go in my antique booth. I got a sealed copy of Space Armada for just $6, the Intellivision clone or the Space Invaders clone on the Intellivision. I will open this on my channel and see what's inside. And there you go, guys. You know, not anything spectacular, but I do love this Mario, and it was so cool that Paul gave me this flask. That is awesome. So good stuff, and I thought it was a great touch to, you know, you're getting thirsty doing your panel. Great touch by PRGE. And thanks to PRGE for having me out to the show. It was awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Enough griping, or at least not really griping, but just sort of observing the fact that vintage video games, retro games, certain titles have gotten so crazy expensive, but that's just the world we're living in today. You can still retro game on the cheap if you pick the right titles, if you emulate, if you buy compilations for the PS2, PS1, whatever. You can play some really cool vintage games on the cheap if you're strategic about it. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments if you went to Portland Retro Gaming Expo this year. Let me know what you think about gaming prices. Now, I know some titles have actually gone down over the last few years in price, but man, so many have just gone nuts. The Game Boy stuff and the Game Gear stuff is particularly interesting. People are really realizing just how rare those boxes are. All right, guys, thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. We'll talk to you in another video.